The Sportaloosa is a unique modern spotted sport horse, bred to be user-friendly for all the family. They're competitive in dressage, jumping and eventing, as well as in the show ring and pony club. Apart from their distinctive coat patterns, the Sportaloosa is characterised by a balanced and uphill frame, keen, intelligent head, medium to long neck, prominent withers with a short to medium back tying into powerful hindquarters. They should have good bone and good, hard, open hooves, with long muscling to give them their athletic ability and speed. Sportaloosas come in a variety of body types and heights, from tall, big striding horses ideal for dressage and jumping, to shorter, nippier types well suited to western, pony club or cattle work. Regardless of their frame or colour, Sportaloosas have three things in common: a cool head, serious athletic ability, and a unique coat pattern. In this section, we're going to take a look at evaluating the conformation of the Sportaloosa. What is it that makes one horse balanced and another uneven? What lets one horse have a long, floating, flowing stride and another only take short, choppy steps that are difficult and rough to ride? Let's first take a look at the horse's centre of gravity. Now, this is determined by evolution and its conformation and can't be altered through training. In order to find the horse's centre of gravity, imagine two lines. The first line runs up from the point of the shoulder over the spinous scapulae, which is a ridge that runs along the scapula, and the second runs from the hip joint over the point of the hip. A plumb line dropped down from the point where these two lines intersect indicates the horse's centre of gravity. So it makes sense that a less steeply angled shoulder or a slightly sloped croup will place the centre of gravity more towards the horse's rear, therefore making it easier for the rider to achieve the desired uphill tendency. On the other hand, a steep shoulder or a flat croup will cause the opposite effect. From the perspective of conformation evaluation, you want to look for a horse whose natural centre of gravity is already located in the centre of the saddle area, because this makes it easier to align with your centre of gravity. The total length of the head from the poll provides the basic dimension of a line that's found right throughout the horse's body, and it's this line that influences our perception of harmony. In the ideal horse, the length of the head equals the length of the shoulder, the point of the hock to the ground, the point of the hock to the stifle, the ground to the chestnut of the front limb, the elbow to the feathers, the depth of the horse, the stifle to the croup, the rear end of the scapula to the point of the hip, and 2.5 to 2 3/4 times the length from the point of the shoulder to the point of the hip. The length of the horse's head doesn't only affect our perception of harmony, it also has significant influence on the horse's rideability. The function of the poll is a little bit like a pulley. The longer the lever is, that is the head, the less force the rider has to exert to have the horse yield at the poll. As a result, horses with a long head have a stronger tendency to get behind the vertical than other horses. On the other hand, it's hard to bring horses with a very short head into the right position when they yield at the poll. Moving on now to the horse's neck. The neck acts as a balancing rod. When the rider sits on the horse balances himself out with the weight of his neck and head, which act like a lever. An optimal neck length supports back activity and flexion of the haunches. So the neck serves as a counterweight for the rest of the body. When it's clearly stretched forward and down in trot, with the emphasis on forward, and the rider controls the speed, the horse can establish this counterbalance himself by shifting the point of balance to the rear. By creating his own counterbalance, the horse can lower his haunches and therefore his croup, coming into balance. So the ideal neck shape is not only defined by its length and the way it's naturally held, ideally with the nose parallel to the shoulder and the angle it is attached to the shoulder, but also by the way that it's set. The ideal neck set emerges 1 hand width above the point of the shoulder. The shoulder plays an important part in the evaluation of the overall quality of the horse. The shoulder's length should just about equal the distance from the poll to the indentation in front of the withers. The shoulder should never be shorter than the head. Its angle to the ground should be parallel to the angle of a normal pastern. The connection of the shoulder to the horse's upper forelimb should form a right angle, or even better, less than 90 degrees. When the point of the shoulder to the top line angle is more upright or straight, the shoulder to upper forelimb angle will be more than 90 degrees and the quality of movement is affected. A decisive factor for quality of movement is the length of the shoulder and the position of the pivot point. A long, more angled shoulder works like a pendulum and not only provides better shock absorption, but also increases the length of stride in all gaits. As that pendulum's trajectory decreases, the angle to the upper forelimb remains the same and the entire leg is positioned too far back. This causes rushed and rather limited movement in all gaits and adds to the risk of the horse contracting navicular syndrome. The pastern angle is usually about 45 to 50 degrees to the ground and ideally should be the same as the shoulder's angle to the ground. The pastern functions as a shock absorber. A very upright or very short pastern does not provide optimal shock absorption. On the other hand, an overly long pastern, which does provide good shock absorption, also puts a lot of strain on tendons and ligaments. The preferred deviation from the ideal is a rather long pastern. A short upright pastern leads to compression of the entire forelimb during every stride. Horses with this type of pastern usually show a short stride, and as a result of inadequate shock absorption, they get very tight in the shoulders. The way that the croup is angled is a key element in determining the horse's natural centre of gravity, as well as determining the way the horse can be used. When classifying the horse's use according to driving power versus carrying power, the croup is even more important than the shoulder. A straight croup provides the horse with the ability to push the hind limb back and use it effectively for greater pushing power. But with a straight croup, these horses find it difficult to step far enough under their centre of gravity to round their back up enough to develop sufficient carrying power or the ability to collect, as you would want for dressage. The angle of the croup is determined by the point of the hip and the point of the buttock. The size and shape of the croup should form a nearly equilateral triangle from the stifle vertically through the point of the hip to the point of the buttock and from there back to the stifle. When evaluating the Sportaloosa, remember that first and foremost, it's a horse. Its colour and its coat pattern make it a unique individual, but underneath that, it needs to have correct conformation and a frame that is ideal for the purpose you want it to fulfill for you. Remember that a coat pattern needs to be secondary to the quality of the horse.